Hi, Macy. So I wanted to get started answering some of your interview questions. First of all, thank you for including me in this project, and we'll see how it goes. Your first question was, who were some of the people uh, that were major influences on me and molded me and directed me into becoming who I am today? And I have wrote an article about this. It's on my LinkedIn page. If you look at my articles, there's an article called Take These Three Guiding Principles and Put Them in Your Pocket. And basically, they're just brief sayings or influences that three people have had on my life. And you will find great detail in there about the story. And um, I'll try to give you a summary answer in this interview. So, the first person that was a major influence on me was my grandpa. He was a mechanic and just a very straightforward, matter of fact kind of guy. And he always told me, he said, son, if there's anything you want to do, just don't worry about it if you don't know how to do it. Just go ahead and get started, and some SOB will come along and tell you how to do it. And me being the age I was, didn't get the sarcasm in that and kind of took it as a positive to be proactive and explore the things I wanted to do. And if I wanted to do it and I wasn't sure how to do it, just go ahead and get started. And the resources would come along and our help would come along in some way, or I could seek help out. And it just taught me to be very proactive um, without fear of what I know now holding me back, but to go ahead and to try. Of course, later as I grew up, I understood sarcasm a little better and realized that he was really talking about people that love to come along and tell you what you're doing wrong and how to do a thing. But it had quite the opposite effect on me as a young child, and just made me fearless about taking on projects that I may or may not know how to do. And so I would say, in that way, my grandfather was a great influence on me and greatly affected how I approach things and um, how I process the information, and gave me the confidence I needed to go forward when I wasn't sure how to act or what to say. The next influence, using my article as notes here, is came from one of my very first um, leader influencers in the form of a boss, being a teenager. And um, we were walking through a warehouse one day that I ran this particular little spot of shipping and receiving and in a hardware store. And one day, him and I were just walking through the warehouse, and he was talking to me. He was talking about business, and I'm listening and trying to learn something. And he just stopped right in his steps without breaking a conversation, reached over and picked up a piece of trash, walked over to the trash can and dropped it in the can. And just automatically, he broke the conversation and said, always leave a place better than you found it. And then he went on with his conversation. And for whatever reason, here I am almost 40 years later. I'll never forget that. And it made an impression on me. And it became a maxim for me to always try to leave a place or a person better than I found them. And that is how you have an impact on the world, your environment, your community, your family, your friends, your coworkers, and of course the people that work for you. Is to always try to leave a situation, try to leave a meeting, try to leave um, anything that comes before you, to try to leave a positive impression and leave that situation or leave that person better than you found them. Um, that's kind of the moral of that story. The third story I have is in my 20s, and um, I was introduced to Zig Ziglar, who was a big impact on me, third party, somebody I didn't know personally. I did meet him once at college and get his autograph, but his name was Zig Ziglar, and he was what they called in the day a motivational speaker. And um, I just really dug in and listened to countless hours of cassette tapes in the car and read books, and found him to be just a great positive influence for me. And one of his sayings that I memorized, again, incorporated it as a maxim, was you can have anything in life you want if you help enough other people get what they want. And I tried to learn to live by that. And I can't, you see this a lot in business where people are super competitive. They don't want to share with others for fear that they will render themselves ineffective or unimportant. And I just made it a point to always do the opposite. I always tried to help other people get what they want. I tried to help them make them successful. And what I found is that with that type of mentality, that people weren't walking over my back, standing on my shoulders, and to get ahead of me, they didn't take advantage of those situations. What I found is when you reach out to help someone and you help them accomplish things that they want in their life, that they in turn will lift you up and help you with the things that you want. And that's the approach. If there's, I think later question is, what is one of your leadership styles? And that has been a style for me. Help people achieve what they want personally, professionally, spiritually, or whatever in life, to help them achieve the goals that they want. And I found the reciprocation to that overwhelming, and that more people want to help me accomplish my goals than there are people who would want to undermine those attempts because I have first tried to help them. So that's kind of the three things. Keep these short videos, and again, you have the reference of the article. I'll include it in an email with this link. And if you have further questions about this particular questions or any follow-up questions, just let me know and I'll respond to them. Thank you, Macy. I hope this helps.